This is He Knows Everything, bringing you that heat and far. See, I told you guys that Bluefin Straddler TV has been copycatting He Knows Everything. He Knows Everything was the first one to tell you guys about Keith Thurman. Look at what he's doing in this poll. Look at how he's prostrating and putting out in this poll that Keith Thurman, do you think he should be next for Terrence Crawford? I already said that. When it's all said and done, y'all got to look at the facts here. You have to look at the truth-telling message that's associated with that. And you guys have to sit there and push the information out for what it is. Why are we sitting here and acting in our minds as if Blue Blood Sports TV did not straight copycat from the He Knows Everything's encyclopedia, the He Knows Everything vernacular? That's exactly what happened. Let's not fool ourselves. Let's not lie to ourselves. Let's not act like that didn't actually take place. Why is Keith Thurman being mentioned? Nobody was checking for Keith Thurman. Everybody was talking about Spence versus Crawford because a lot of fight fans are brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo heads. This includes this Bluefin Straddler TV. It includes the fact that he was in sheep's clothing, i.e. a fake as fuck Earl the True Spence fan. But inwardly, he was a ravening wolf, a Bud Man fan. And in his Bud Man fanship, he erroneously, stupidly, in brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo head fashion, lacking neuron receptors that are not clicking on all cylinders because he missed this in early childhood onset of development, of him stating in a classic Dodo and the Troglodyte fashion, in a Rudy Poo and Plum Plum Brain fashion, that when it was all said and done, Bud should fight Earl the True Spence prematurely. See, He Knows Everything was the only one that had to lead you guys to the promised land. Even peon fucking brains have to be led to the promised land of making you guys realize there's two live game welterweights that's still out there. You cannot call yourself undisputed if you have live game welterweights. This is not no cinnamon dust of a horchata of an Alvarez. This is not no cinnamon toast crunch nonsense where you're disputed champion because you have basically David Benavidez's belt that he really technically didn't lose, but you unfucking disputed. Undisputed means there is no dispute. Keith Thurman called out the barking Chihuahua. So the barking Chihuahua has to bark and answer the fucking bell and fight him. At one point, he said that Keith Thurman and not Earl the True Spence erroneously was the guy at 147. If that is the case, and you said Keith Thurman was a bigger fight than Shaw Porter, you have to fight Keith Thurman next, especially with the timing and the fact that Keith Thurman is calling you out. That fight has to happen next because he's still a live game active welterweighter. We can't sit here and say, but Manny Pacquiao was part of an older genre. He was part of the last genre, a Floyd Mayweather genre. That doesn't count. Keith Thurman is still active. He's still live game. So he has to be properly retired. He has to be cleaned out by a genre of his own. In cleaning of the sides of the streets, Terrence Crawford has to clean him up. Clean his ass out. While Earl the True Spence clean up your Dennis Bugas and cleans his ass out. Now the dust has settled. Now in late 2022, like He Knows Everything told you guys in Sun Tzu, aka Art of War, that would happen. In 7 Steps Ahead of the Game, 48 Laws of Power, that it has to take place in late 2022. The reason for that is because late 2022 is going to be the ideal time frame when this in actuality will take place. And it has to take place from that standpoint. Because when it's all said and done, that is the ideology that you have to look at. That is the mindset that you have to see, and that is how you have to unction it. If we're calling Spence versus Crawford a super fight, everybody has to be properly cleaned out. The dust has to settle. Just like Earl the True Spence did with Danny Garcia, Bud has to have his Danny Garcia moment with Keith Thurman. Danny Garcia didn't have a fucking belt, but he was a live game welterweight that needed to be cleaned out. That's what Bud has to do with Keith Thurman. And the caveat of this is Keith Thurman is not a Spence leftover. So that fight has to happen. But see, where Blue Blood is erroneously fucking up is he's mentioning Jerome Boots Ennis and all these guys. That's different trajectory. Fight fans are so stupid, they don't understand shit. Jerome Boots Ennis is a prospect. He needs to fight prospects like the Blair Cobbs of the world, the fucking Gary Antoine Russell Jr.'s of the world, the Virgil Ortiz's of the world. These types of motherfuckers. That's his trajectory. He needs to prove that he's the best amongst them before he can step up to this next level. It's like Meek Mill truly said it, not erroneously and gaffly said like Meek Mill said. There's levels to this shit. There's gears. The trajectory that Spence and Crawford is on undisputed. They've earned their time. They've earned their weight. That's what has to happen. But before that happens and before that super fight takes place, Thurman and Ugas has to be cleaned out. If you're a true boxing fan, you're using the true boxing eye test, you understand the three elements of economics, politics, and pugilism, which is the three-pronged monster, and not this archaic viewpoint of, let it keep it boxing, let it keep it boxing. If you're not that one-trick pony, and you see these things from this three-facet mindset, then you would understand why this has to take place in order for Spence versus Crawford to be justified as an undisputed fight. You see who gave the delineation? You see who gave the distinction? You see who gave the gulf and the separation for this message? It was He Knows Everything. Blue Blood didn't come up with this ideology. He's too peon of a fucking brain. He's not on He Knows Everything's three-dimensional thinking ability level to compute this, to rationalize this, to say it in detail-oriented fashion. He's not on that level. He never was and he never will fucking be. The guy that takes 3 minutes to introduce fighters that we already fucking know. So when it's all said and done, what you guys realize is they're biting, they're copycatting, they've been biting, they've been copycatting. He knows everything shit for years. And as the saying goes, I keeps the foot on the Neeks. I keeps the foot on the Neeks. This is He Knows Everything. Check it out.